Welcome to Authentic English Podcast, your weekly show where education meets recreation. Here's your host with 20 years plus of teaching experience, Marcia Pike.
Marcia Pike here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Authentic English Podcast episode. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/authentic English. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. I'm going to add the link to the show notes, okay? So let's get to today's show. Have you already tuned in to episode 6, the Yellow Fever Outbreak in Brazil? If you still haven't, please go back and tune in right now as you will need it for today's show. In today's episode, I'm going to cover another grammar point that was recurrent in episode 6, the passive voice. The Aedes aegypti mosquito transmits yellow fever. Let's analyze this sentence. The Aedes aegypti mosquito is the subject of this sentence. Transmits is the verb, and yellow fever is the object of this sentence. Note how the focus of the sentence is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Let's now analyze the same sentence from another perspective. Yellow fever is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Note how the focus of the second sentence is the disease, yellow fever, not the vector, the Aedes aegypti mosquito. The first sentence, the Aedes aegypti mosquito transmits yellow fever, is in the active voice. However, the second sentence, yellow fever is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, is in the passive voice. I will now show you two possible ways of expressing the same idea, however, with a different focus. Let's dive into some examples from the extracts of the news magazines I mentioned in episode 6. 1a. The current outbreak of yellow fever began at the end of 2017 after the Brazilian Health Ministry confirmed several cases in areas close to São Paulo. Note that in this sentence, the focus is the Brazilian Health Ministry. Let's explore another way of saying this sentence. Let's now focus on the cases of yellow fever, not the Brazilian Health Ministry. In sentence 1b, CNN stated, after several cases were confirmed in areas close to São Paulo. Note how the focus of this sentence is several cases. 2a. The Aedes aegypti mosquito infected more than 770 people. Note how the focus in this sentence is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Let's now focus on the infected people. In sentence 2b, the British newspaper The Guardian claimed, more than 770 people were infected. Here the focus is the people. 3a. The Health Ministry will give recipients half doses that are effective for 8 years rather than a lifetime. In this sentence, the focus is the Health Ministry. Let's now focus on the people who will get the vaccines. In sentence 3b, the Business Insider reported, to make vaccine stocks go further, recipients will be given half doses that are effective for 8 years rather than a lifetime. The focus here is the recipients. 4a. The World Health Organization considers much of Brazil at risk for the yellow fever. The focus here is the World Health Organization. Let's shift the focus to Brazil. In sentence 4b, The Guardian published, much of Brazil is considered at risk for the yellow fever. The focus here is Brazil. 5a. Doctors must vaccinate foreigners for the mosquito-borne disease. The focus in this sentence is the doctors. Let's now change the focus to the foreigners. In sentence 5b, The Guardian declared, the World Health Organization recommended last week that foreigners planning to travel anywhere in the state be vaccinated for the mosquito-borne disease. The focus here is the foreigners. The modal verb must is implied. You could also say, foreigners planning to travel anywhere in the state must be vaccinated for the mosquito-borne disease. In order to report what each newspaper and magazine published, I also changed the focus to the content that was published. Let's explore other ways of expressing similar ideas. 1a. As The Guardian stated, note that the focus here is a British newspaper, The Guardian. Let's shift the focus to what The Guardian stated. 1b. As it was stated in The Guardian, note that the focus is no longer The Guardian, but the news, it. On the same note, you could also omit it was and say 1c. As stated in The Guardian, the idea is the same for sentences 2 and 3. 2a. As Epoca reported. 2b. As it was reported by Epoca. 2c. As reported by Epoca. 3a. As Veja claimed. 3b. As it was claimed by Veja. 3c. As claimed by Veja. Let's recap some sentences used by the newspapers and magazines I've mentioned. After several cases were confirmed in areas close to São Paulo, more than 770 people were infected. Much of Brazil is considered at risk for the yellow fever. To make vaccine stocks go further, recipients will be given half doses that are effective for 8 years rather than a lifetime. The World Health Organization recommended last week that foreigners planning to travel anywhere in the state be vaccinated for the mosquito-borne disease. The verbs were confirmed, were infected, is considered, will be given, and be vaccinated are used in the passive voice. The structure for the passive voice is the verb to be plus the past participle. For example, shown, given, risen. When is the passive voice used? We often choose passive structures when we want to talk about an action, but are not so interested in saying who or what does or did it. In most cases, the subject of an active verb is not expressed in the corresponding passive sentence. If it does have to be expressed, this usually happens in an expression with by. For example, the man was infected. The idea is complete. However, if you want to specify, you can say by the mosquito. If you want to go that extra mile, email me at marcia@authenticenglishpodcast.com to get a free transcript of today's episode, a cheat sheet of the passive voice with different verb tenses, and an exercise for you to practice a passive voice. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you'll get a notification as soon as a new video comes out, okay? If you know anyone who would also benefit from today's show, please share it with them. Sharing is caring. Well, let's hope the yellow fever epidemic in Brazil is under control. I hope you have an amazing week listening to your free trial audiobook from Audible. Take care.
Great having you with us today. Keep on with Marcia on social media. Head over to AuthenticEnglishPodcast.com to practice what you've just learned. And subscribe, rate, and review. Take care.